George. This is going to be a video talking about, I think, the coolest band of the 60s, my favorite band of the 60s. I think the quintessential garage rock band, the Sonics. This is a reissue of their first album from '65, and this came out on Etiquette Records. This is a 2020 reissue on Big Beat, I think. But yeah, I've just been on a big Sonics kick. This album's awesome. You know, the Sonics were they formed in '64 here in Tacoma, which is where I live. They're kind of one foot in the 50s with a lot of their songwriting and covers, especially on this album. But it's still just, you know, it's wild and dangerous sounding and punch you in the face, and I think it's fantastic. The Witch, they do a great cover, Do You Love Me? Their cover, Roll Over Beethoven, but then you get Boss Hoss, Dirty Robber, which I think was a song originally written by the Wailers. And the Wailers were a band also here from Tacoma, which had for a time, Buck Ormsby is the bass player, who, I don't know if he owned Etiquette Records, but he was heavily involved in Etiquette Records. And he produced, I think, the first two albums, I want to say. Anyway, so Dirty Robber Have Love Will Travel, which was a cover of a song by a guy named Richard Berry. And Richard Berry was also from here in Tacoma. And he's the one who wrote Louie Louie, which they go on to cover on their second album. Psycho, Money, Walking the Dog's not great. Nighttime is the Right Time, it's not great. But Strychnine, some folks like water, some folks like wine, but I like the taste of straight Strychnine, which obviously the Cramps covered. And then it ends with kind of a honestly mediocre cover of Good Golly Miss Molly, but there's a definite Little Richard influence on this album. I mean, obviously with the covers, but yeah, they're definitely one foot in the 50s. It's Andy Paripa, Larry Paripa, the singer Jerry Rosalie, the drummer Bob Bennett, and the saxophone player Rob Lind. I think part of what makes this album so unique is Jerry Rosalie's voice. You know, other 60s garage bands, you know, like the Seeds or something like that, have more of a whiny sort, not whiny is not the right word, but Jerry Rosalie has really a deep, kind of almost howling wolf influenced vocals, which kind of goes back to the thing, you know, them being almost stuck in the 50s, even though this came out in '65. But yeah, this is an incredible record. Like I said, on Etiquette Records, the lot that Etiquette Records office was on, I passed by it all the time. It was a Taco Bell for a while, and now it's a Hawaiian restaurant, and I think an office building, which is really weird. But every time we go by there, I'm like, ooh, that's where Etiquette Records was. So yeah. And then in '66, they follow it up with Sonic Boom, which I think doesn't have the same consistency as the first album, but has more dangerous, aggressive sounding songs. Cinderella, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark is good, but it's not real aggressive. A great cover, Skinny Minnie. Jenny's great. I think what I would say is the first, I mean, you know, people get uptight about this, and I'm saying this kind of not super seriously, but I think the first punk song is He's Waiting, track 1, side 2. The fantastic cover of Louie Louie, Shot Down, amazing. Yeah, this is a fantastic album. This is also one of those 2020 reissues on Big Beat. In, I think, the early or mid 80s, their first two records got reissued by, I think, privately by Buck Ormsby, who just distributed them on his own, and then later in the '90s, Norton Records got the rights to the Sonics catalog. So there are like mid '90s reissues of these albums that add some bonus tracks to the end of each side. But I'll probably never own an original since they're so expensive. So I kind of wanted these in their original intended form. And the bonus tracks were all compiled on another album, and I've heard that the sound on some of those reissues is kind of tinny. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, this another fantastic album. They had a third album, I think in '67, which was an attempt to be a little more commercial, which was called Introducing the Sonics, even though they already had two albums, where they recorded some covers and a few originals that have kind of a less of an attitude, and then added basically a bunch of like reverb to Psycho and what's the other one? Psycho and The Witch. But it does have some really good stuff on it, like Maintaining My Cool, and they do a good cover of Leave My Kitten Alone. So that was their last album, and then I think it was Bootleg. They have a record called The Fire and Ice Tapes, which they recorded after introducing the Sonics. That's a lot more commercial. They're almost going into a 60s pop sound, and it's not very good. But anyway, I'll show you some singles. I only have one original single. All these are some of the Norton reissues. So I have Boss Hoss, and the B-side of this is The Hustler, which I think was recorded during the sessions for the first album, but didn't make the cut, and it is one of my favorite Sonic songs. The Witch and Keep On Knockin', and Keep On Knockin' was another non-album B-side recorded during those sessions. Have Love Will Travel and Psycho. And then I have this, which is kind of weird. It's called Sonic's House Party. The Sonics started out doing a lot of Wailers covers. So this is 64 home recordings, and they do a cover of Wailers' House Party, and then they do Keep On Knockin', and then a song called Think and Hold It, which I'm assuming are covers, but I don't really know much about those songs. And then they do I do have one original Sonics 45. When they moved, or when they came out with Introducing the Sonics, they moved from Etiquette to Jordan Records. And this is, like I was talking about, the version of Psycho that adds basically a bunch of reverb. And then the B-side is Maintaining My Cool, which is also a really great song. I think probably my favorite song from that album. And then I have this that I thought I'd show. The glare is going to be pretty bad, but this is Here Ain't the Sonics, a Sonics tribute to the greatest band of all time. And this came out early 90s, 1989, it's a joint between Estrus Records and Pop Llama. It's on green vinyl. It's pretty cool, and it has the Nomads doing Cinderella, Girl Trouble doing The Hustler, Mono Men doing The Witch, the original Sins doing Like No Other Man, Screaming Trees doing Psycho, Game of Vultures doing He's Waiting, Surf Trio doing Strychnine, the Headcoats, Wild Billy Childish doing You Got Your Head On Backwards, which I think was from Introducing the Sonics, and that's a good song too. Young Fresh Fellows doing High Time, the Cynics doing Shot Down, Pippa Eats Cherries doing Dirty Old Man. Fallout's doing I'm Going Home. Marshmallow Overcoat, which is a really great Arizona psych revival band, doing Maintaining My Cool. Kings of Rock, which were some of the dudes from Gas Huffer, doing Boss Hoss, and then it ends with Mojo Nixon and Skin Roper doing Have Level Travel. Yeah, that glare is pretty bad, but this is a really cool record. Cool comp. And then obviously, like, I wasn't going to pull it, but Cramps cover Strychnine on, I think, Songs the Lord Taught Us. And anyway, I love the Sonics. I think they're one of the coolest bands ever. They're probably my favorite band of the 60s. And I will leave you with some of what I think is the first punk rock song ever. He's Waiting from 66, 2 years before the first Stooges record.
Somebody knows what you have done. I want you carrying on and having fun. You knew it was wrong, but you had to blame. Now you're gonna learn that life don't pay. It's too late, it's too late. You lied, now you will hide. It's good, they hate it, he's waiting for you. Wow! You stayed out late just to play your game. But all you got was a real bad name. You think you're happy? I got news for you. Well, Satan found out. Little girl, you're through. Oh, it's too late, it's too late. It's alright, now you will find. It's good, he's waiting for you. Wow! I don't know why you were untrue.
Thanks for watching.
I sure got